Hello everyone, welcome back to Rosie TV. Today we're going to be recapping this week's Champions League games. We're going to be talking about the semi-final first legs. We're so close to that final in Cardiff. But first we're going to talk about Tuesday's game, the Madrid derby. Real Madrid came out victorious in a surprising 3-0 win. And the main man once again was Cristiano Ronaldo. He scored a hat-trick against Atletico Madrid, and that was his second consecutive hat-trick in the Champions League this season. The first one maybe wasn't that impressive just because two of the goals were offside, but you can't take away anything from him in this game. It was an amazing hat-trick. In the past, Ronaldo has struggled against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. You think about that first final where, yes, he did score a penalty in extra time, but he struggled throughout the game. Last year's final, he wasn't really the best. And although he scored the winning penalty, still throughout the game, he was isolated. But here, he just totally shut up all the haters with his hat trick, finally performing against Simeone's men. But on the other hand, you have to feel for Simeone. He's gotten the best out of this Atletico Madrid team that maybe doesn't have the best quality compared to the other big teams in La Liga. Real Madrid has been his bogey team in the Champions League. If they get out this year, which it looks like it's very possible, like a 90% chance they're going to get eliminated, because I don't see a comeback happening. If that happens, that would be 4 years in a row that he gets eliminated by Real Madrid. Simeone is obviously known as a pragmatic coach, comes out with a very, very defensive style, with those two banks of four and having one of the strikers drop back when in the defensive phase of the game. But in this game, he came out and actually attacked Real Madrid, and it didn't work. The players were left for dead. The game plan did not work, and you have to blame Simeone here. But what does this mean for Simeone now? Is it finally time to move on from Atletico Madrid? He's obviously accomplished so much with them. 2 Champions League finals. He won the La Liga title where all the cards were against him. So he's definitely juiced out all the potential from this team. Is it finally time to move on? He's been linked with the Inter job. He wants to go coach a team that he has a personal connection with, and he obviously played at Inter. So it'll be interesting to see if he leaves this summer. I doubt it'll be this summer, but possibly next summer. But as for the game itself, obviously Ronaldo was the man of the match. He was the top performer of the game. But I want to talk about some other top performers. I thought Real Madrid's defense was fantastic. This is the type of game you want Sergio Ramos to play, where he just bosses that back line. He doesn't make big mistakes, because sometimes he's prone to these big mistakes, and we sometimes forget about that just because he's an amazing goal scorer and such a clutch player. Rafael Varane at the same time is such a great defender, and if Pepe leaves in the summer, it looks like he's linked with a move to China. Varane is going to be a perfect replacement for Pepe. Marcelo was fantastic as usual. Carvajal was really good, and there is talk that Carvajal will actually be out for the rest of the month. So he's going to struggle to make the Champions League final possibly. And that's going to be a big hit for them. I wonder who Zidane's going to play at that right back spot. Danilo is in the team, but it looks like Zidane's going to prefer to use Nacho, who can play anywhere in that back line. And he's a very reliable player. He's obviously not as good as Carvajal in the attacking phase, but maybe a more defensive fullback could be good for Real Madrid. Other top performers in this game was the Real Madrid midfield. They totally ran the show, from Casemiro, Toni Kroos, Modric, and they definitely have the best midfield in the world. And if they're going to win the Champions League, it's because of those three. Is there really any argument against Luka Modric as being the best central midfielder in the world? He is just pure class. And it's funny to think about, because when he was first signed for Real Madrid, that first season he was known as a flop, but that second season was great. Obviously, he had a big contribution to that first Champions League win, and then that second one as well. Isco was on the right here as Gareth Bale was injured, and Gareth Bale this season hasn't been the best, and Isco has had a major role coming off the bench for Real Madrid, for Zidane, and he's been fantastic off the bench. But here, he also ran the show from the right. He is an amazing playmaker. And if they're going to get rid of one person between James and Isco, it has to be James Rodriguez. He just doesn't fit this mold. He likes to play as the number 10, but you're not going to get into that midfield. As I said earlier, that midfield has been so important for Real Madrid. But Isco, I feel like he can play anywhere, from the left, from the right. He could play in midfield as well if one of them is not fit. I thought Benzema was okay in this game. He did have one of the assists for Ronaldo's goals. But I think it might be time to finally phase out Benzema from this team and put Ronaldo in that number 9 spot. He's a natural goal scorer. He's been a fox in the box, just a great poacher this past season. And a lot of people are saying that this is Ronaldo's worst season with Real Madrid just because his numbers in the league haven't been great. But I think a big comparison that you can make is with LeBron James in the NBA. LeBron in the regular season tends to obviously put up great numbers, and Ronaldo's still putting up great numbers, but just for his standards, it's not the best numbers. But LeBron likes to kind of take a rest during the regular season, not put everything out on the table. But in the bigger games, when the playoffs start, he just starts shifting to his top gear, and that's why he's the best player in the NBA. Ronaldo, on the other hand, you can kind of compare the La Liga season as maybe he's just chilled out a little bit, being a little bit more reserved, but in these big Champions League games, he has showed up. As for Atletico Madrid's players, there were so many poor performances in that midfield. I thought Koke was pretty sloppy. Saul, usually a lot better defensively. He just looked out of sorts. That defense didn't look great, but obviously the midfield did not help. Griezmann was horrendous in this game. I don't think he had a single touch in Real Madrid's box. He didn't have a single shot as well. I hope that in the second leg, they'll have a little bit more bite and they won't be that sloppy Atletico Madrid from the first leg. Usually Simeone's men are so organized, and I want to see that in the second leg. I want to at least see a fight, because I don't want to see them just get eliminated 3-0 or possibly 4 or 5-0 on aggregate. I want Simeone to take it to Real Madrid. On to the second game on Wednesday. Juventus beat Monaco 2-0 away from home. This was such a weird game to predict just because Monaco have been the best attacking team in Europe this season, averaging 3 goals every single game, and Juventus have been the best defensive team, so I expected Monaco to score at least just 1 goal, but that Juventus defense shut them out. Mbappe, his movement was very good in the first half, and he possibly could have had 1 or 2 goals, but in the second half, he did not have a single sniff of the ball. But the main man in this game was Gonzalo Higuain himself. He bagged a brace in this game, both goals assisted by Dani Alves. As I said in past videos, Higuain hasn't been the best big game player, but this was a huge game, a semi-final in the Champions League, and he definitely showed up. We already know he's a clinical striker. He's one of the best strikers in the world, but he needed those 2 goals for his confidence in the Champions League, because against Barcelona, those 2 games, he did his job, but at the same time, he did miss some big chances. But here, he was fantastic. And speaking of fantastic, Dani Alves. Allegri came out with a 3-5-2 formation for this game to kind of outnumber the 2 Monaco strikers with Barjagli, Bonucci, and Chiellini, the BBC. And Dani Alves had more license to go forward in that right wing back spot, and he definitely made a meal of it. 2 assists for Gonzalo Higuain. And Dani Alves, we already know he's a fantastic right back, but at his age, playing at such a high level is just amazing. He's definitely one of the all-time best right backs, especially in the attacking phase of the game. Not many come close to him in that sense. And this was just another amazing signing from Juventus. They've been so shrewd in the transfer market, and signing Dani Alves on a free was definitely one of the best signings of the summer. But I still have to give props to Jardim for getting Monaco to the semifinals. And obviously the game is not over. There's still a second leg in the J Stadium. But similar to the Real Madrid Atletico Madrid game, I don't see any way back for Monaco. I mean, scoring 1 goal is already super hard against Juventus, but now they have to score 3 goals to win the game, and that's just not gonna happen. I mean, Juventus shut out Barcelona in 2 legs, so I doubt Monaco are gonna be able to make a comeback here. I'm gonna give my quick prediction for the second legs for each game. For Real Madrid Atletico, I think Simeone will get something little from that game at least. I don't think he's just gonna score no goals at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that game ends 1-1. And for the Juventus-Monaco game, I'm going to say Juventus are just going to soak up all the pressure. I think it's going to end 0-0. Give me your predictions for the second leg in the comment section below. Also, give me your thoughts on every single game from the Champions League this week. Please like, share, and subscribe for more football content. And thank you for watching Rosie TV.